Hey, this is Chairman Evan Power. Welcome to our new show. We're going to bring statewide elected officials to you so you can hear from them directly so you know what's happening in Tallahassee. Today's guest, our first guest, is CFO Blaise Ingoglia. Blaise was a party chair here at RPUF. He did a great job during his time here. Then he went on to be a House member, a state senator, and now he's CFO of the state of Florida. He's known as a pit bull for conservative fiscal policy. He's the guy who has been doging local governments across the state. He found and helped expose the hologram in Jacksonville that Donna Deegan has. And he exposed a poet laureate in Orlando that no one knew he had. He's doing that across the state. This conversation will be interesting as we talk about what a CFO does. We also get to hear what he thinks about Florida State moving forward. So our first guest is CFO Blaise Ingoglia. And thank you for joining us on our first little episode of this experience here so that we're getting our grassroots more involved and they're seeing behind the curtain. CFO, you were appointed by Ron DeSantis. You're in the role for a couple months now. Well, how do you define your role as CFO?
So I think we're looking to actually redefine the role as a CFO. CFO traditionally has been state fire marshal, has overseen Division of Unclaimed Properties, a member of the cabinet. But what I'm trying to do is redefine it to the role where I'm taxpayer advocate. Because what you see me doing out there right now is holding local governments accountable for wasteful, excessive spending. So property taxes are a big issue in Florida. There's an opportunity for someone to lead on the issue, and we're going to lead on the issue.
You talked a little bit about DOJ and auditing local governments. I know Donna Deegan had a hologram. What are some of the surprising things you found in some of these DOJ audits of some of these local governments?
So I think the thing that we found the most surprising is the amount of spending over and above what should be normal spending, increasing their budget for inflation and population. Some of the numbers are just absolutely staggering. Hillsborough County has overspent $270 million, City of Jacksonville almost $200 million, Broward County almost $200 million, Alachua County $84 million, and the list goes on and on. We've actually uncovered over $1 billion worth of excessive wasteful spending. Now, within that wasteful spending, there is some granular details. Spending money on a poet laureate program, I think, is just ridiculous. One county spent $150,000 teaching illegal immigrants how to evade ICE. Probably not a good use of the taxpayer money. And it's stuff like that where we just don't think that is a good taxpayer an expenditure. But it's not up to us. It's up to the voters. So we're going to make the information available, and it's going to be up to them to either A, hold their elected officials accountable, or B, vote for a constitutional amendment and offer property tax reform. Hey guys, it's Blaise Ingoglia, the CFO of the great state of Florida. Make sure that you stay in touch with the Republican Party of Florida podcast. Go ahead and hit that like button and smash the subscribe button right now. Stay in touch.
So what does a poet laureate even do?
I don't know, but I've lobbied the governor's office. I said, look, if you want to have a poet laureate for the state, I will be more than happy to do it for free. I'll just ask ChatGPT and we'll get it done.
I like that. Now, property tax relief has been a big issue. I know that the governor has a plan. We've talked about different plans with different people. What is your view on where we should go on tax relief?
I think we should work as hard as possible day and night to try to get to the point where we can eliminate homesteaded properties. Taxes on homesteaded properties. I think there is a way to do it. I hope that the legislature will be as aggressive as possible to that end. Could you just imagine how free we would be? We would be the talk of the nation if we're the only state in a nation that has a state that has no personal income tax and no property taxes on homesteaded properties. You're talking about creating generational wealth, and we will be the envy of everyone in the nation if we do that.
And I imagine that would bring people in here who are thinking about coming here from other places that are conservatives, and having that opportunity would bring up our tax rolls and our sales tax too.
Yeah, it would. There will be a lot of benefits, but there would be more people trying to move to the state of Florida. But I think that's why comprehensive property tax reform is such a big issue. Because when you look at the places that are the most unaffordable in the United States, you look at the places that have the most coastline and the most sunshine. And Hawaii and California are chief among them. We have been working very hard to make sure that we don't turn this place into California or even New York. So to ensure that we don't have these bloated property tax rolls later on, a couple of years, 20 years down the road. That's why we need the property tax reform, because people will continue to move to the state of Florida.
And one of the things that people don't necessarily know about CFO is you play a big role in firefighters and you're the chief fire marshal.
Mm-hmm.
How important are firefighters as we face our state and going forward, and the role you play in that?
Very, very important. It's an honor to be the state fire marshal. When I was in the legislature, both in the House and the Senate, I have continued pushing the issues that were important to firefighters. Chief among them is offering them presumptive cancer coverage when firefighters wind up getting cancer. Most people don't know this, but the way they fight fires today are much different than the way they fought fires 40 years ago. 40 years ago, it was a wood-burning structure. But today, when firefighters go into a burning building, not only is wood being burnt, but chemicals, petrochemicals. You have plastics. And what happens, unfortunately, is all of that toxic material is being inhaled and absorbed through the skin. So we have seen instances, and data proves this, where firefighters get an inordinate type amount and type of certain cancers. And if we're going to ask our firefighters to go out on the front lines to protect our communities, the least we can do is make sure that we're taking care of them if they do get those types of cancers, which are drawn directly back to them fighting the fires themselves.
So CFO, you were past party chair. I was on the board when you were there. I got to serve with you. What do you see the party as when you led it and where we are today, and what differences are there, and where have we gone from your leadership to current?
So, as you know, I was chairman of the Republican Party in Florida from 2015 out until 2019. I helped get Donald Trump elected in the state of Florida in 2016 and Ron DeSantis get elected governor in 2018. But I will tell you that we had it a lot harder back then than we do now. It's amazing the transformation of this state over the last 10 years or so, from a traditional swing purple state to now a ruby red state. Way back when I was chair, I think the Democrats had 400,000 more registered voters than we had. So we were fighting it out in every community statewide, eking out the wins, and then getting to the point where we had a majority in the legislature. But now we're almost at $1.4 million net positive Republican registrations over Democrats. And I think that's attributable to Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis and the leadership that they brought, the leadership that you're bringing, and some of my predecessors and the people who've come after me and before you, just making sure that we're doing the things that we need to do, boots on the ground, registering voters. But I cannot understate this enough, is that one of the reasons why we continue to be ruby red and we're not going back is because we deliver wins for people in the state of Florida. We go out, we tell people what we're going to do, we fight the establishment, we fight the traditional orthodoxy, and most importantly, we fight the left. And we've racked up those wins, and people are rewarding it with historic voter registration numbers and historic wins.
And I think you look at what's happening on statewide across the board. Last night, Stasi, our Commissioner of Education, went down to Alachua County, held them accountable for some of the things that they were saying. I think leading that message and leading that fight has made Florida lead the way. Is it a lesson other states can learn? If you lead courageously, they can have opportunities?
Yeah, look, Stasi is doing an amazing job. His predecessor, Manny Diaz, did an amazing job. But all of it, I think, comes from the top. And Governor DeSantis with just a take no prisoners attitude when it comes to taking on these issues. It's the same thing I'm doing as CFO. We're holding government accountable at all levels. Look, I think it's important for elected officials to know that when you're campaigning, you go out and you will say things on the campaign stump to get elected, but it's important to follow through on those promises. And that means holding government accountable. It's unfortunate, but there are some people, actually good Republicans, wind up working hard to get elected, and then they sort of just become part of the system. What I think makes us so different here in the state of Florida is when we run for office, we actually hold government accountable, and we're very aggressive with that. We don't view ourselves as a part of the system. We view ourselves as part of the people, making sure the system doesn't hurt the citizens and doesn't hurt the taxpayers. And I think that's a big difference here in the state of Florida.
we've seen Mondami in New York run from a liberal, socialist standpoint, and you see some of these other things. Do you think that how out of touch the Democrat Party is compared to it there and here in Florida, and why Republicans are successful because of that?
Yeah, look, Mondami is just absolutely crazy, and we're expecting an influx of people coming from New York City. But first, if you're coming from New York in order to escape Mondami and the leftists in New York, please leave your leftist ideology at the border. Please do not bring it to the state of Florida. The last thing we want to do is turn this back into a swing state. Having said that, look, the Madamis of the world, the Ilhan Omars of the world, the AG candidate in Virginia, those are the reasons why the Democrats are losing their votes, losing their credibility, because they're losing their minds. And the more and more they open up their mouth with some of the crazy talk, the more and more Republicans look like the sane party that is actually going to solve some of these problems. So from me to the crazies on the left, please keep it up, because we're having a great time just watching it and laughing at you.
Well, and to that point, we saw the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. And now in Virginia, you see that AG candidate who texted things about putting bullets in the speaker's head and wanting to kill his children so his policy beliefs would change. Do you think that kind of political rhetoric from the left helps or hurts them?
Oh, it absolutely hurts them, because, like I said, they cannot go and say that the political violence is coming from the right when every piece of information, every data point that we're getting is saying that it's the left. Now we have people running for the second most powerful position in a state who actually talked about assassinating, killing. It was a Speaker of the House, right? Is that what it was?
Speaker of the House, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that's just craziness. Look, it's unfortunate, but the liberal media will elevate these people and not care what their backgrounds are. They don't care about what their ideology is. All they care about is hating Republicans. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. DeSantis derangement syndrome is a real thing. And I would actually say sanity derangement syndrome is a real thing, because some of these people are just absolutely insane with some of the stuff that they are espousing.
No, I agree with you on that. And I think we're seeing a lot of it across the country. But you have to, from my viewpoint, when you look at some of this stuff, is that we have to call out some of this violent rhetoric, because somebody like Charlie Kirk, who goes out and is willing to talk to anyone, that should be a blessing for our country. Why do you think the left has sunk to this level where they just think that the political assassinations and violence is acceptable?
Because they can't debate us on the ideas. They can't convince people that what the left believes should be policy and the rule of law, so they resort to violence. Look, we see it as Republican elected officials all the time. We're constantly getting attacked. We're constantly having death threats. And it's because they don't want to listen to anything else. They live in this leftist bubble, and you cannot reason with them at all. Now, I will tell you that if I have somebody that does not agree with me, I will sit in front of them just the same way Charlie Kirk would, and I would have a conversation with them. And there are times where I would listen to them and say, hey, you know what? You might have a point there. I don't necessarily agree, but you have a point. Where the left would say, no, you don't have a point and you should die. And that's unfortunately where we are right now.
That's sad. So we talked about your earlier jobs. You were party chair, you were state representative, you were state senator, and now you're CFO. What was the best job, and what do you have the most fun doing?
I'm having the time of my life right now as CFO of the great state of Florida. I cannot tell you how much fun I'm having sticking up for the taxpayers of this state. When I was party chair, I thought that was an absolutely phenomenal job, helping Donald Trump get elected and helping Ron DeSantis get elected. But I will tell you, nothing compares to the feeling I get up waking up every day knowing that I can make a difference in people's lives and keep more money in their pockets. That's what drives me. I'm having a ball doing this right now. This is my favorite and best job right now.
And I think the taxpayers are lucky to have you fighting for them on that regard, because you've been a bulldog on fiscal policy since I've known you, when you did Government Gone Wild back in the day. So I think that's positive. And I think you were kind of put into this role because that's your specialty. So I'm glad you're having fun doing it.
You know, it's funny. I've said that I never thought I would get paid to do Government Gone Wild, but here we are.
Yeah, let's go back to your beginning. We were talking about Government Gone Wild and the YouTube channel you started for that. What was the tipping point that got you involved on a local level that made you local chairman and do all those things that you did?
Yeah, it was actually property taxes. I looked at some of the property tax bills for some of the properties that I owned, and I saw that they doubled and tripled. And I said, hey, something has to be wrong with this. So I enlisted somebody who used to be a county commissioner, Hernando County, was also a CPA, and I asked him some questions. I said, hey, why is this happening? Now, mind you, back then I was not politically active. I really did not pay attention to any of this stuff. And the information that he gave me just astounded me. He showed me just how much waste, fraud, and abuse there was in local government and the property taxes. So it got me very, very concerned about what was going on with the expansion of local government. So I started digging in, started having meetings to the point where I thought that I can make a difference. And I took the information and I went around the county. I did PowerPoint presentations explaining to people what was happening with their money. And I came up with this idea, is that we have way too many. I call it the theory of the 3 A's. And it works like this, is that we have way too much apathy in this country, especially when it comes to spending. What we need is a lot more activism when it comes to spending. But how do you get from apathy to activism? You have to stop off at the middle A, and that's angry. And how do you get people angry? You show them exactly what's happening with their money. So to make a long story short, we did these around the county, and normally when you would have a county commission budget meeting where 7 people would show up, we had over 800 people show up. They actually had to cancel the meeting and reorganize the meeting because the overflow was just absolutely insane. So we proved to people back then that if you put it into context, put it into layman's words, so people can understand it, they would be outraged. We saw it in the mid-2000s. We're seeing it again right now.
So that goes full circle to you doing a press conference in front of Don and Deegan's actual hologram in the airport, right?
Yeah. And you know, the funny thing about that hologram is when I did an event, a FAFO event, going over her reckless, excessive spending in Jacksonville, I stopped off and at Jacksonville Airport because we were traveling to Miami that evening, and I came across the Donna Deegan hologram. So I took selfies and we tweeted it out, and it wound up, I think, with 150,000 views or 200,000 views. So people all over the state and all over the country started seeing that. But what was interesting at that time, almost everything that showed up on the hologram was Donna Deegan, and her voice filled the room. Every second of that hologram was Donna Deegan. As soon as we posted that selfie on Twitter, they actually changed the programming. So when we did that event in Jacksonville with the governor, there wasn't as much Donna Deegan as there was Jacksonville Jaguars. But that just goes to show you that the things that we're doing, we are making people angry at the spending, and we are changing behavior. That is undeniable.
And after hearing her voice, I am appreciative that there's less Donna Deegan voice, so that's good. Well, first of all, CFO, thank you for being here for this first show, first thing we're doing here for the Grassroots. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers as we move forward and as you are in this new role for another year?
Yeah, look, I'm going to tell you as an elected official and as past chair of the Republican Party of Florida, grassroots, stay involved. Get involved. Go to your Republican clubs. Go to your Republican Party meetings. When we get into election time, it is important that you sign up to volunteer, walk doors, make phone calls. Florida is the best place to live, work, and play. It is by far an amazing place, and we'd like to keep it that way. And with your help, we will.
But can't let you out of this room without asking you an important question. Who is going to win the Florida State game? And should your coach, because I know you're a Florida fan, should he get an extension after the Texas win?
We should be doging Florida football and getting rid of Billy Napier. I'm just going to say that right now. But not so fast, my friend, as Coach Corso would say. The Gators are going to beat FSU in November.
So if you follow us on Twitter, you know that we get engaged on some of the Florida State fight. But it's great to have you as CFO. It's great to have you here with us. Thanks for everything you've done for the party, and thanks for your new leadership in this new role. So we appreciate you being here.
My pleasure. Anytime.